Today's message won't come wrapped in softness or laced with sugar. This one's for the soul that has been dragged through misunderstanding, labeled for their insight, and silenced for seeing too much too soon. This isn't about finding peace in the illusion. It's about standing tall in the truth, even when that truth scorches every room you walk into. You weren't wrong, you were just early, and now the world is catching up to the storm you sensed long before the clouds even darkened. There's no comfort in being gaslit for your clarity, no solace in being mocked for the truths you dared to speak while others clung to denial. But you didn't choose this gift, it chose you. And with that gift came resistance. Your truth was a mirror, and not everyone was ready to see what was being reflected. They didn't fear you because you were broken. They feared you because you were awake. Let's go back to the moment the wound really began. It wasn't when they called you unstable, crazy, or too intense. It was when you started shrinking, not because you didn't believe in yourself, but because their fear was louder than your knowing. You made yourself smaller to make them comfortable. But that wasn't your burden to carry. You stood among people who didn't want truth. They wanted permission to stay asleep. They wanted noise, not depth. Surface, not substance. But you weren't built for surface. You were designed to reveal depths. And that revelation threatened everything they used to survive. Patterns, approval, and illusion. So they labeled you. They mocked you. They told stories about you behind your back. But deep down, they understood exactly what you were saying. They just weren't ready to face it. Your presence revealed what they worked so hard to hide. It wasn't rejection. It was self-preservation. They weren't confused. They were convicted. You became the forecast, a human storm siren, broadcasting vibrations from a future they had no language for. You didn't bring chaos. You disrupted the rhythm of conformity. While they danced to the tune of approval, you stood still, sovereign and silent. And in that stillness, your presence roared. Your silence said more than words ever could. It exposed the ritual, the mask, the repetition. You were never the problem. You were the mirror. And mirrors are dangerous in a world that thrives on pretending. They mocked you because it's easier to laugh than to grow. It's safer to ridicule than to reflect. But you didn't come here to be liked. You came to awaken. And awakeners are rarely welcomed at the tables they come to flip. You carried frequencies that shattered illusions. You walked with sight that pierced veils, and that terrified those living inside the lie. How many times did you dim your light to maintain peace that wasn't real? How many times did you translate your insight into a language they could tolerate, only to feel your soul suffocate with every word you watered down? You weren't meant to dilute. You were born to dismantle. You were forged in truth. You held the weight of knowing in a world built on denial. That's not madness, that's mastery. And yes, you've got scars, but sacred scars. Scars that prove you walked through fires before anyone smelled smoke. You weren't broken, you were activated. The world is burning now. The system is glitching, the illusion is cracking. And the ones who told you to hush are sitting in the ash of what you tried to warn them about. You're not the echo, you're the origin. Your instability? That was insight without a map. Now those same people are squinting to understand what you saw clearly from the beginning. Their timelines, headlines, and inner lives are thundering with the truths you whispered. And suddenly your madness looks a lot like divine foresight. They're starting to ask questions about their jobs, their roles, their filtered lives. The noise is deafening now. But you already left that performance. You dropped the mask. You sat still and whispered, "This isn't real." They called it rebellion, but it was liberation. They're remembering your words, the ones they once dismissed as too deep, too much. But the truth doesn't need validation. It needs time, and time has finally caught up with your clarity. They thought you were too far gone, but you were just ahead of the curve. Now they're coming back, soft-eyed, quiet-mouthed. They want to know how you held your ground when everything else shook. You didn't seek approval. You didn't chase agreement. You trusted your knowing, even when it made you the outcast. You were misunderstood, misquoted, mislabeled. But you never lost yourself. You stayed grounded in your essence. You walked through mockery not with bitterness, but with resilience. And now you're free, not because they see you, but because you no longer need them to. You don't owe them explanations. You don't need their apologies. Your becoming was never contingent on their understanding. You're no longer waiting to be accepted. You're owning the space you used to beg for. This moment, it belongs to you, not because they finally woke up, but because you stayed awake. You don't need to be the loudest. You just need to be undeniable. Walk in your clarity. Own your forecast. You're no longer a warning. You're the evidence. So move like it. Speak like it. Stand like it. You are not who they said you were. You're who you've become, brilliant, barefoot, and free. Let them marvel from their cages, but don't stop. Keep advancing. Thank you for taking this journey with me. If your soul feels seen, heard, or activated, this message was yours. You weren't broken. You were just delivered early. And this moment, this shift, it's finally on your time. And now repeat this prayer with me. Dear God, I give thanks for the gift of vision even when it made me feel alone. May I honor this sight as a sacred guide, not a burden. I release the pain of being misunderstood. I no longer carry the need to explain what my soul already knows. I ask for the strength to walk forward boldly, even when the path is empty, knowing I was never meant to follow. I was meant to lead. May I continue to trust myself, especially in the silence. Let that silence grow stronger than the noise of others' doubt. I forgive those who tried to diminish my fire. Their fear was never my fault. I reclaim every piece of myself they couldn't handle. I choose to stand in clarity. I choose to speak truth with love. I choose to be the evidence of what is possible. Lord, where there was shame, may there now be celebration. Where there was rejection, may I find renewal. I declare that my presence is a light. It reveals, it awakens, it heals. And I will no longer dim it for anyone's comfort. I embrace my divine timing. No more rushing, no more waiting. I align with the rhythm of my becoming. And so I rise, brilliant, barefoot, and bold. Let my life be proof, let my walk be peace, let my truth be free. Amen.